Yeah, well, my wife's name is Celine, and it's a derivative of the moon and all that kind of stuff, and so we're big astronomy fans, and so we wanted to have her name mean something that was kind of tied to all of that, and on my mom's name is Lynn, and on her side of the family she has a Lynn and a Lana and there's a bunch of different L names that kind of all sound like Luna. But no Lunas, so we went with it. And of course, Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. So the Tommy concert.
Yeah, that was in Poughkeepsie, right?
No, it was in Patchogue.
Patchogue, that was Theater. It. Okay, so was it a concert?
Yeah, so we did. Excuse me, I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold here, a little upper respiratory deal. So
is that
forgive me if I clear my throat a few times.
It's okay. Do you gotta do?
Yeah, we did. This is the 50th anniversary of the of the original album, and so a producer friend of mine asked me if I'd be interested in doing this album live with a few other singers and with this phenomenal band. They're called Wondrous Stories. They do classic albums live all over all over the place, and so we all got together, me, myself, and another two other singers from the Broadway community, Mike Wartella and Lana Gordon, and we did the whole album straight through, and then we did a few other Who songs as an encore, and it was just incredible. It was an amazing evening. The audience loved it. It was just It was a dream come true.
I just saw Lana in Chicago this summer.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
So great. And it was funny because I saw Chicago when it first, 23 years ago, I swear to God. And then my friend was in it. He played Billy Flynn, so I went to see him. And I still love the show. I still love Chicago. And she was
great.
Amazing. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, such a small world. And you just did like Rockers of Broadway too.
Yeah.
How was that? Yeah, I love that venue, by the way. I love that venue.
Oh, yeah. La Poisson Rouge is amazing. And it was a really great evening to raise money for the Path Fund. And just one after another, just incredible vocalists and performers getting up there and just rocking out for the night. It was just unbelievable. And Billy Joel's daughter, and Christy Brinkley's daughter, was there. She sang one of her dad's songs. It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw that Christy Brinkley like added you to like her Insta story.
She added most of us. Almost, I think all of us to her story. She was sitting right there, right in the front. So it was a little hard to miss her.
Oh my gosh, like no pressure. But that's so much fun. Yeah, I love that venue. It has like this underground, like cool, like I don't know, like bougie vibe to it, like underground. So yeah, a lot of you guys were showing up in my feed. It was like you and I think like Constantine, like Lisa Brescia, Amy Spanger. There was a bunch of you, and actually the guy, I hate the guy, sounds awful, who put it together. Who arranged it? It's escaping me right now.
Donnie Kerr.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I gotta get him on the show. But it was like one after the other, and I'm so mad at myself. I'm kicking myself for not going, because do you feel, or do you know, in the Broadway community, you're more of a rock singer, correct? Like a lot of the shows you do more pop and rock. Do you guys tend to travel in the same circles and meet up at the same events?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like stylistically, I guess that's where you kind of fall, which is great. Because Broadway, I love that Broadway's kind of has this cool. I don't want to say evolution, but it's kind of changing, and to kind of attract different personalities, because we're all different, and what music speaks to us, what story speaks to us. So you guys,
and there's an inherent storytelling to rock and roll music that I think serves very well on stage. I mean, you look at Tommy and you look at Jesus Christ Superstar, which was originally just an album, and I don't think it was ever intended to be on stage, and it ended up becoming a massive success. There's just such theatricality in rock and roll, and it's just I think it belongs on Broadway. There's certainly a place for it.
Oh, I agree. And I always say, like, I'm a theater person, but I'm like, but I'm, I have tattoos, I'm not like, and I'm not judging either way, but it's nice that there's like this little niche for music that speaks to me. And I love the old chestnuts, because that's why we have the shows we have today, is because of the Rodgers and Hammersteins, and we can, we can grow on that. You did mention Jesus Christ Superstar, which of course I saw you live on the TV. How was that experience? Because that's still my favorite. I think that was the best live. I still remember that one very vividly. And I remember crying and loving the whole experience and singing the music and being there with you guys. So what was that like? Was that the first time you ever did that, a live for TV performance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it was pretty, it was kind of like guerrilla theater in a way. We just kind of so was hired to understudy and stand by for John Legend while he wasn't because he had concert dates and all this kind of stuff, and so it was about a 7-week process, right. And so he was gone for about 4.5 weeks out of that, almost 5 weeks out of that process. So I got to be pretty heavily involved with the with the creation of the show, and certainly that track, so I actually got to do the role for our final run for all the executives at NBC, which was incredible, and getting to work with Sarah Ellis and Brandon Victor Dixon, right. And David Laveau, our director, was just amazing. And like I said, we were hired. A small group of us were hired a couple weeks before the official rehearsals started to kind of do pre-production and come in there and kind of figure out the show and what it would feel like and what it would look like. And one of my favorite quotes was from our director. He said, "Look, if everything goes perfectly tonight, I'll be severely disappointed in all of you, because this is a rock and roll show, and it needs to feel like that. It needs to feel a little more just kind of out of control and natural and organic." And I think that came across during the broadcast.
Oh, it definitely did. I mean, I still have that vision, and I'm wondering if I guess you did at the dress rehearsal. I'm not sure how they did it, but he was on the cross, and it was like he was pulling back. Oh my God! That's like burned in my brain, and I'm like crying.
So we were in a massive armory. We were in this armory, and so he's actually traveling that far. It's probably a good 200, maybe not 200 yards, but maybe about 120 yards that he travels. And I actually got to be the guinea pig for that, because before John had come back from his tour dates and everything, by that time we were in the space, and they needed to test it out, and I having done Spiderman, also had some experience with flying and all that kind of stuff and being in a harness. So they were like, "Hey Justin, would you stay after rehearsal and we could throw it on the cross and see if it works?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I did, and I have a really cool video of the test run that I'm never allowed to post, but it exists.
You have it. You have it for you to enjoy.
Yeah, and it was a pretty incredible thing to not only to do but to witness and just to be there watching it happen live was just crazy.
I mean, I definitely felt the energy through the TV, and I actually interviewed Tim Quick. You probably know Tim too.
Love Tim. Yeah. Well, Tim and I worked on Rock of Ages together. And then, of course, Superstar Live and a couple other workshops and readings and things. He
was so sweet. And then I went to see School of Rock, and he's like, "Come meet me before the show. I want to show you around." Really nice guy.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. I actually used the same, we had the same chiropractor. But it's like such a small world, because, the Jersey connection. So you did Bonnie and Clyde. You did Rock of Ages, which is... It's funny because I kind of fell into Rock of Ages. I never got a chance to see it, sadly. I know it's back and running right now, and I might try and run it and see it. But I've fallen in love with the music because I think it reminds me of I mean, I'm not 80s, I'm more 90s, but I was an adolescent in the 80s. So these songs totally bring me back to a time when I had no stress, no worry, no care. You know what I mean? Did you, and how long were you? You were in Rock of Ages for quite some time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I was in the show as an understudy back when Constantine was playing Drew, and then after it had moved to the Helen Hayes, right when it went to the Helen Hayes, I was doing Bonnie and Clyde, and then after Bonnie and Clyde closed, they called and asked if I would want to take over the role. So I was like, hell yeah! So I went in and I played Drew for a year and a half, probably about 500, anywhere from 550, somewhere around 550 performances.
What is that? What is that like? Because, in regional theater, our runs aren't that long. It might be like 4 weekends or like 3 weeks. What is that like to do like 500 performances? That's a lot.
It's pretty incredible. It's I think any actor in this business is extremely lucky to sit in a show for a long time because these, like, for instance, Bonnie and Clyde, we were only open for, I think 30 days after previews. And so, to have a job for that length of time and especially a job that you love doing so much and is so much a part of the, style and culture that you love. It was a real treat and a real gift. And it's funny because I actually just went this summer and did it again at Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera, which is an incredible theater. It's a massive theater, and they treat the actors so well there. But I only did 8 performances, and after the second performance, I was like, oh yeah, it feels exactly the same. We were on the same set with the same costumes. The blocking was a little different and everything, but I was just kind of like returning home a little bit.
You say coming home, right?
Yeah, but it's, in a weird way, it certainly felt like, performance number 556 or 557. You know what I mean? Even though it had been years since I'd done it before. And like,
did the muscle memory just come back to you with the lines and the music and the stage? Because was it all the same? Yeah. The staging and everything it was all the same, basically, right?
Yeah, mostly other actors were just kind of pissed because I didn't have to have my book or anything, and they were all like running lines and stuff because it's a quick process. There's only 6 or 7 days of rehearsal, and then we did the show for 8 days. And so they were just like, God damn it, they were just very like.
It's funny how that happens, though, how you really do remember. You don't think you're going to remember it. And then it's just like, I don't know, like you tap into that thing inside of you and it just comes out. Did you feel that your performance was, I don't want to say better, more relaxed maybe because you had already done, it wasn't your first rodeo, so you were able to live in it a little bit differently? Or how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly the director had his ideas and things that he wanted to see. He wanted to put his stamp on the show, and so I tried to be as open to all that as possible, and I certainly didn't want to fight him on any of that because it was his rodeo, and so I did get to do some different stuff, which was fun. So that there was a little bit of kind of a new feel to it.
And Beowulf did the set, right? Am I incorrect in thinking that?
That's correct.
Yeah, he did, right? So did that set transfer to, is it New World Stages?
Yeah, so that set is at New World Stages now. And then the tour set is the set. Actually, Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera bought the tour set, which is the same set.
Right.
But they bought it, and now they rent it out, which is kind of a smart business model.
Oh my gosh, that's like amazing. I mean, listen, it's show business, right? We're all trying to live here, pay our bills. So we're going to talk about, we backtracked. Bonnie and Clyde, though, how sad. The music's so beautiful in that show. I don't know why.
Great show.
I don't know why. You know what? You just never know, I think, what's going to grab, because the music is great.
Well, I think unfortunately and unfairly, the New York theater scene has a bias against Frank Waldhorn.
Yeah.
And the show opened, December 1st or something like that. And January, February, and even March are notoriously difficult months for theaters, and you have to make all of your money during the fourth quarter the year in order to survive the first quarter of the following year. You know what I mean? So only being open for a month didn't serve them, so well. And so, I think that was kind of, but the thing is when a new show is ready to go and a theater is available, you kind of have to jump on it.
Yeah, you got to just like when the door opens, you just got to run through and not think almost,
Yeah, because who knows? It could be another, 6 years before a theater becomes available that's, perfect for your show. So,
I mean, listen, Chicago's been running for. I mean, I know that they switched theaters, but I mean, forever.
Yeah,
I mean,
Chicago, Phantom.
Lion King.
There's so many shows that have been running for decades that are just, killing it.
Yeah, they're getting an audience.
We call those government jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have not seen Phantom because I feel like it's going to be now and forever. So I'm like, I'll see. I should just go in and experience it just to say I did. But when I go in, I try and go see things that maybe are a limited engagement or, my friends are in. So I haven't had a chance to hit Phantom. But that might be like a treat myself. Now, you did Turn Off the Dark. What was that like? Because that was, that came on the scene and there was obviously some controversy around it. But I thought it was such a cool concept. And you were in it. So talk about that whole experience. I mean, and there was flying. I mean, that was... an acrobat of music and physicality. I mean, it wasn't just,
Yeah. I'm a massive comic book fan and Marvel fan and it kind of hit all my it pushed all my buttons. It was a show. It was a show about Spiderman that was music by Bono and the Edge. I mean, like, what else is there? Like it was perfect for me, and I loved it. I had a great time. I only did. Reeve Carney was the original Peter Parker, and he left the show to go do Penny Dreadful, and so I took over the role from him. Actually, straight from Rock of Ages. I actually left Rock of Ages to take over the role.
Oh wow, okay.
And did it for the last 7 months of the run, and then the show closed, and by the time I had gotten there, most of the the controversy had kind of
died down.
Had died down a little bit, and people would come and see the show, and they a lot of people came to see it because they wanted to see if something would happen, and of course things would go wrong all the time. But what's really interesting is that things go wrong in shows like Cirque du Soleil shows all the time. I mean, people have died, and unfortunately, on Cirque du Soleil stages, those shows are not being demonized by the community, and I think unfortunately and unfairly, Spider-Man was demonized and called a curse of a show because pretty unfortunate, but inherently dangerous acts are gonna have danger. You're gonna have accidents. You know what I mean? So, I really think that Spider-Man got a kind of an unfair hand in the whole thing. But
do you think it did because it was also a comic book musical, and maybe not all Broadway, but some Broadway audiences were like, oh, comic books, Spider-Man doesn't belong on Broadway, so they already were going into it, maybe because you're probably a much more huge comic book fan than I am, but I definitely, those are the movies that we go see. I have children. We go see Deadpool. We go see all these movies, and I actually have a great appreciation for them because there's so much more when you get down to the characters and all these Marvel or DC comics. They're actually, I enjoy their human qualities, and I actually did enjoy. I think Tom Holland, for me, this latest Spider-Man, he's definitely my favorite as far as the films go. I thought they nailed it with the last movie. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat, and I loved Into the Spider-Verse. But do you think that maybe certain members of the Broadway community went into it with a preconceived notion because it was Spider-Man, and some people just don't take it seriously? There's still like that stigma.
Sure. I mean, which is unfortunate because there's nowhere does it say that Broadway has to be this place where it's like where every single show is this art piece. You know what I mean? I mean, there's room for all types of production when it comes to the Broadway stage, and what people want to go see. You have to make the community and the art form accessible to everyone. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you're alienating your audience, and what good is that going to do? And you're going to make people feel uncomfortable. People that want to be moved, and that want to be, they want to go see something that's going to make them, question their reality, or question their lives or their choices or whatever. They're going to go see shows like, Dear Evan Hansen, or like Hades Town or Hamilton, like these things that are just a little bit more about the art form. Not to say that Spider-Man, didn't take the art form seriously, but there's a place for spectacle, and there's a place for pop, and there's a place for, dumb comedies, I don't know if you saw Getting the Band Back Together, but it was so much fun. It was just like,
no, I wanted to.
And they weren't charging people $200 a ticket. They were charging $40-$50 a ticket, and you go and watch. It's essentially like watching the Judd Apatow movie, and like there should be a place. There should be a place for those things in the community and on Broadway, because it doesn't make sense to me to alienate an audience at all.
I know, and like, who am I to tell someone what they should like? When my children are a little older, like my youngest is 9 and my oldest is 24. And, if they would want to listen to certain songs, someone would be like, well, that's not kids' music. Well, who am I to tell my kid what kind of music he likes? I'm not going to tell him. If he likes rap, or if he likes, Queen, or, whatever, that's him. I'm not going to say, no, you can't like that, because I don't think it's appropriate. So who am I to tell someone, no, you shouldn't like Hamilton, or you shouldn't like Be More Chill? I actually saw Be More Chill. And I got to tell you, the kids in the audience, the younger, they were crying.
Oh yeah,
because they
felt, because it speaks to them. It's what they're going through. It's what they're dealing with, and so they're like here's like an outlet for this.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I think Joe Iconis, and I'm dying to see, because it's at Two River, Love and Hate Nation. I don't know if I'm going to get to see it, because I'm sure it's going to transfer. I would love to see it before it transfers. But he knows how to speak to that. He kind of has like tapped into that that generation. Like I'm telling you, the girl next to me was sobbing at Be More Chill, sobbing because she might be living through a similar experience. I'm older than that, so not that I didn't enjoy the show. But I could see my child struggle, because I have a high schooler. Now you're doing an off-Broadway show, which is so. That's why I said it's so meta, because you are literally one of like, and don't give me any Mandalorian spoilers, because I have not done D plus yet. But so talk a little bit about Star Wars and like what you can without giving away any spoilers.
Yeah. So this is a show. Written by this small group of Star Wars fans and comedians, and I had seen it on opening night back on May the 4th, which is a big Star Wars day,
right?
Because of May the 4th be with you, all that stuff. And
I'm actually wearing a Star my Empire T-shirt today, so I'm wearing my Star Wars.
Nice. But I'm, and they know the producers had, through friends of friends, they knew I was a massive fan, so they invited my wife and I to come see the show, and we saw it and had a blast. And I guess one of the, so it's a 3-person show, and one of the actors booked a job in California for a couple months, and so they were, I guess trying to figure out what to do, if they're going to have auditions or, whatever. So, but they just kind of reached out and said, hey, would you, we know you're a big fan and you've seen the show. Would you be interested in coming in to do? We think you'd have a lot of fun. And I was like, hell yeah, that sounds like a blast. So, so I'm there. My first performance, I believe, is next Friday.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they were, they were very, very generous with me. They because I'd already had, we have a brand new baby girl, and so we're bringing her to see family, for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and so I had all these days that I was like, look, I would love to do this, but I have a ton of days that I'm not going to be around in the next couple of months, and they're like, no worries, just let us know what those days are, and so I did, and yeah, so but rehearsals have been great. They're just a ton of fun. and it's essentially it's a show that celebrates fandom and that celebrates kind of also it's a very self-aware show. It's very funny, and it's a deep dive into Star Wars fandom. It is a deep dive. So
I think I'm going to come.
Brush
Maybe
up.
my husband and I will come.
It's definitely accessible for your casual fan and all this kind of stuff. But there are definitely some deep dives into the canon, and actually into the non-canon as well. So it really is for everyone who just loves Star Wars. It is not, as some audience members I guess had mistaken it for. It is not a musical retelling of Star Wars or a musical version of Star Wars, but it is a musical about Star Wars,
right? And
about being fans, and which is just so endearing and lovely.
Yeah, I think when I was telling my husband, I'm like, I feel like we should go see this. I'm like, because we love to do I mean, I love doing Broadway, but sometimes like some of my favorite shows I've seen are these off Broadway houses, these little diamonds in the rough, and you walk out like, wow, that really kind of moved me. And we definitely like Star Wars. He is much more of my husband's older than me, so he remembers seeing the original Star Wars, in the movie. So like a deep dive for him. I'm like a mid dive, I think.
Sure.
I'm like a mid dive, but it's so funny though that that you booked this, because even like when you brought home your baby from the hospital, I think you had like a Star Wars blanket or something.
Oh God, yeah, we've got all.
You guys have all the gear.
All kinds of Star Wars stuff. It's just like she's. And she's probably going to grow up hating Star Wars just because we've been shoving it down her throat since she was a baby. But yeah, we got all kinds of stuff.
It's funny.
I mean,
Well, go on.
And when people know you're a fan, of course, they also send you things.
Oh yeah.
They just seem like, which we love, and we've decorated her room with and all that stuff. But
That's
yeah,
so cool. I love it. I think it's so cool. But yeah, having a kid really changes your day, huh? I learned that when I had my first one. I was like, wow, like no one could warn me. Like no one could possibly ever, not warn, but like, until you're living in it, it is a total change. I always say I didn't know what love was until I gave birth to my kids,
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And my wife and I have been trying for a long time. We've been together for 12 years. We've been married for 6, and so for the last 5 years we've been wanting this. And so now that it's finally here, and it's just been everything we hoped it would be. It's been amazing.
Well, the saying goes, the days are long, but the years are short, because my oldest is now 24 and my baby's now 9. And I have 2 more in between. I have 4. So it seems like just yesterday that I was like nursing, or like, you go out, you got to bring all the gear with you. And now I'm like, all right, we're going to go do this, do that. Or my children, we have conversations now, and like your Facebook memories show up, and I'll like say to my husband, oh my God, look at this picture. They were so little. I feel like it was yesterday, but man, it goes by in a blink. So it's like, like you just like want to savor every moment that you can, every snuggle and every coo, and it's so funny, right? When you look at your kid and you're like, I made you.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty amazing.
So now, how long is your run in a musical about Star Wars?
So mid-January.
Okay. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try and get out. I think that'll be. No, I don't try. I do. I'm coming to see you.
Do or do not.
Do or do not.
No try.
I never try. I just do it.
I had to throw the Yoda quote at you.
Yeah. I'm like in love with Baby Yoda. By the way, I think it's like, it reminds me of in the '80s we had the Muppet. Do you remember the Muppet Babies? Where like they came on the scene. I'm like, is this going to be like Star Wars Babies now? There's going to be like a TV show.
Well, we're referring to it as the asset, because I don't think the baby. I don't think it is Yoda.
No,
so.
Yeah, there's like some debate. Like it's definitely not Yoda. It's just the species of Yoda. But everyone's loving the series. Have you started?
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
everyone
amazing.
says it. Everyone says that. I mean, that's how I felt when I saw, the first my brain is dead today, and it's not you. I had Kettle One last night. The first Star Wars with Rey. Oh my God!
The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens. I just remember being so excited about that film. And again, there was controversy around that. They're like, it's, he copied this film. I'm like, but you know what? I kind of thought it was pure genius because it got us all in. You know what I mean?
I mean, here's the deal that, if fans, here's the problem is that there was so much written, back in the 90s, there was all this, now that Disney has bought the property, now these are no longer part of the story. They've erased all that, so they're no longer canon. But they've written all these stories about Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and Han Solo and like what happens after Return of the Jedi. And so now that has all been erased, Disney, they're trying to do their own thing. And so, the lesson of that first movie is that this all just is an endless cycle. It all happens, all over again all the time. And so, and that's kind of the lesson of that movie. So that's kind of the point of that movie. And a lot of fans it really pissed them off. And it's just so stupid. Like, just relax. Like people are, we're like, my childhood is ruined.
Oh God. I'm like,
you
sorry.
ruined my series. And it's just like, shut the hell up.
I know. I feel the same way.
Just sit back and enjoy, all right?
Listen, I was crying with the new trailer when C-3PO was
like, God, yeah.
I'm just looking at my friends. I'm like, sob. And I watched it 5 times. I'm like, I just want to cry again.
Yes.
We did a family costume one year. We were Star Wars. I was C-3PO. My baby was R2 at the time, R2-D2. My husband did not want to be Chewie, but he was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and my one daughter was Leia, my other son was Han, and my other son was Luke. And every time it shows up, it just makes me so happy. It's so, like I said, I'm like medium dive with Star Wars, but it has like a sci-fi feel to it, but it also, for me, it kind of has this like medieval-y too. It's like so fascinating, all the different ties.
Well, George Lucas definitely taps into, samurai culture and like, Western culture as far as like, the gunslingers, all this kind of stuff. So there's, that's definitely on purpose. And it's, I think that is what makes Star Wars so unique, is that it's kind of these ancient stories being told through a slightly futuristic, it's so funny because they're supposed to be, a long time ago and yet everything looks so far advanced from what we have. But it's just such a cool. It was also the first time that anything sci-fi had a used feel to it. Like the Millennium Falcon looks like a hunk of junk, and like everything looks like it's been around for millennia, and just everything is ancient feeling. And it was the first time in the science fiction world, as far as TV and film, that was some, being shown. I mean, like Star Trek, everything's shiny and new and beeping and blinking and I love Star Trek, but it's a whole different thing.
Star Trek always feels, and I don't mean this in a negative way, and there's probably another word I could be using. Cold, maybe because it's so shiny and everything's so crisp and everything is so clean and very contemporary and very modern. I like Star Trek too. I definitely watch it. But what I love about Star Wars is it feels just more gritty to me.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Have you been to? So we went to Disney. We surprised our kids. We took them to Disney, and we spent most of our time at Hollywood Studios. Now we didn't get to go to Galaxy's Edge yet because they were still building it, and I'm dying to go back. But we spent a majority of our time in Hollywood Studios because they have that whole Star Wars section. I mean, I have videos of my family having confrontations with stormtroopers and I never understood, not judging people that love the princesses, like, people crying when they would meet, Snow White, until I met Chewie. Actually, we call our fans on this show Chewies because chew the scene. So we went to do pictures with all the Star Wars people, and Chewie, I just immediately fell into this like little girl mode. I was like, hi, Chewie. And it was so ridiculous. And I just looked at my kids. I'm like, now I get it. The magic, Star Wars can just pull out magic in people. And I never judge. If you like Disney, if you are a person I don't care if you're 40 or 50 and Disney makes you happy, you go, be happy. Don't let anyone else tell you not to. And I feel the same way about Star Wars,
what I think is one of the biggest influences that Star Wars has over people is the music. John Williams' score is so iconic and so beautiful and so engrossing that it's kind of it's just like it hits you in all the right places at all the right times.
You're so right.
And
You
really
are so
gets
right.
you to connect with those characters.
And we had Dave O'Neill on, and he a self-proclaimed nerd and everything, and he, back in the day, people that like Star Wars, and I'm going to say like in the 90s, right? Culturally, it was like, and
Totally.
And right, but now it's like Comic-Con. You can't even get tickets. I got to order my tickets now if I want to go next year because the culture is shifting, and I don't know if we're becoming a more I would say more accepting society, but that's another show. But when we are, it's like nerddom, being like quasi nerdy, quote unquote, being a nerd is like cool now. So like,
here's why I have a theory about this.
Yeah.
Is that corporations like Disney and Marvel. I mean, well, but this and even before Disney bought Marvel, and Universal, with Harry Potter and everything, they started realizing that people that are fanatics about whatever their thing is, whether it's comic books or anime or or Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever, that they will spend money.
Yes.
And so they thought, well, let's start making it mainstream and making it like more culturally acceptable and they, celebrating the whole like let your freak flag fly and let's make a crap load of money off these people. And that's exactly what happened. And it's kind of great for everybody because now nobody's kind of being a nerd isn't really necessarily a thing anymore. Like people call me a nerd, I'm like, yeah, well, so what? Like
I'm a nerd and I'm proud.
I like what I like, and screw off if you don't like it. I don't care. You know what I mean? But they realized there was a lot of money to be made off of this stuff, and it is working.
And did you ever see the movie Josie and the Pussycats?
No,
okay,
no.
It's actually like a really. I know it's a comic book movie. It's a really good movie, but it's so interesting how, as a society, we are so easily influenced by corporations and it's kind of what Josie and the Pussycats is about. It's super fun, super campy. Parker Posey, Alan Cummings is in it.
Love Parker Posey.
Yeah, she's actually fantastic in the movie. But it's funny how we so quickly become absorbed. Like, I think I posted on Facebook, I'm like, I don't understand this yelly lady and this cat meme. Like, someone explain it to me because one day it wasn't there. Now, all of a sudden it's here and I don't understand it. And it's like
I don't know where it came from, but I love it.
I mean, I'm not judging it. I just don't get it. And then someone was like, "It's a New Jersey housewife." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." Like I don't hate it. Someone explained to me because literally yesterday it wasn't there, and now it's everywhere. And I just want to know how it happened. I know a lot of stuff probably starts on Twitter first. It is funny, but it's how easily we kind of like swarm towards something. And I think it goes back to what you were saying about, making money. But you know what? It's been the same thing, just maybe like a different medium for years. Before social media, it was TV, or, before TV, it was radio. Before radio, it was newspaper. So I think every generation has their thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're just living in the time of, instant gratification, immediate contact. And, we're still trying to, I think, navigate our way through it.
Oh, yeah. Which you gotta ask yourself, what the hell could possibly be next?
I know.
We've got infinite information at our fingertips now. What's next?
I'm pretty sure like a chip or something. I'm convinced we're all going to be like, I have a theory, that we are actually going to become our own artificial intelligence. Like that line, the line is being blurred now because we complain about social media, but yet we still do it. We put we're big brothering ourselves.
Do you know who Ray Kurzweiler is?
Yes.
You should watch his documentary Transcendent Man.
Is that what it's about? Like a similar theory? Yeah,
so it's essentially this point in time which he calls the singularity, which is a term he borrows from astrophysics, but it's a point in human evolution where we will merge with artificial intelligence and become essentially gods ourselves. But it's happening at an exponential rate, and it has been since the 80s. It's pretty fascinating. And his prediction is that by like 2050, we'll be able to perfectly integrate our consciousness into computers, and we'll be able to have nanobots that'll swim through our bloodstream and let us run a mile on without just with taking one breath. And stuff it's insane, the kind of stuff that he's predicting. And so far, most of his predictions have come true. So it's promising, it's terrifying, and it's also kind of wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, we have to evolve. I mean, I think sometimes like we get hung up on like when people change their change. It's like, well, everything's temporary. Like, I don't believe in forever. I think forever is a made-up word that we make to make ourselves comfortable. I believe in for now, and I believe in temporary. And it makes me sound, I think, colder, and I'm really not. But it helps me navigate. Forever just seems so like forever. I don't know. It's such an odd word to me. So
Sure.
We have to change as a people or as a person. You don't watch Westworld, do you?
I watched the first season. I haven't watched the second season yet.
I kind of love. I actually have to say, the second season I was a little like, but I'm like, I get like that with shows. The first season like really draws me on, like American Horror Story. I loved it, and then I watched the second season, and I was like, oh, I kind of know what to expect now. But it was kind of like the same thing. Like, where does the line cross between artificial intelligence and human? And the artificial intelligence, they were starting to get their own brain. I don't know if you and I will be here at that time, but we'll have some type of presence in the universe since we're all matter, and it's interesting to see. And I think we just have to embrace it and not be so scared all the time. I think we try and stop
they say the first human to live to be 150 has already been born, so it's kind of crazy to think about.
Wow.
Yeah.
That and you know what? Yeah. And think about when people would get married at like 12 and be dead at like 25.
Yeah.
Like the life expectancy, right? Like in biblical times, or whatnot. And now people are living to be, like you said, like 100. Now we have someone that's born to live to be 150. Because I believe that science and spirituality coexist together. I don't believe in because I love science. But I'm also spiritual. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And there is there's definitely a connection that I guess we won't know.
I agree.
Till we're not here anymore,
I'm of the same mindset. Yeah, absolutely.
So Justin, this was so great. So actually, where can now I'm like.
Well, we touched on a little bit everything, didn't we? We touched on the business. We touched on culture and artificial intelligence, and
it was like a great conversation. That's why I always tell everyone, I'm like, it's going to be a fun conversation. I promise you. We'll touch on everything. But I've been following you, not like a stalker, but like you show up in my feed, and I'm like, I've been really wanting to talk to you, because your Facebook always, I know. Your Facebook persona, we all have our personas. I was like, I'm like, this is someone that I would love to talk to, because you don't stick to one thing, you know what I mean? Like, and those are the type of people I love to talk to. And we both know Sean, Sean Janess. I'm really good friends with Linda.
God, I hope he's listening right now.
I know.
And Sean, put some pants on.
I know. He's such a funny guy. I've been trying to get him in too, and I had him booked, and then I had to cancel, so I'm hoping to get him back in again. But yeah, Linda and I did like theater together like 20 years ago. Like we did hair.
Oh, I love Linda. She's amazing.
She's like the best. So, but I want to come see your show, and you're going to be in starting Friday on or I'll just text you or something and be like, hey, I want to come. Are you in tonight? Because I think that would be so fun.
That's the best thing to do.
So where can our listeners find you? You have a website? What are your socials? Give us a little.
You can follow me on Instagram at Justin M. Sargent, JustinMSargent. I'm also on Facebook. I don't have a website, but you can follow me there. And I have a Twitter account, but I never use it. I haven't used it in years.
Yeah, sometimes I use my Twitter, and then I just feel like it just gets lost in this if I tweet, I don't know. I just
like Instagram. Instagram's a little more personal because you take pictures and kind of share your what's immediately in your world, and
I just like it better.
No, Instagram is my number one. I do Facebook because I have family on it, and that's like tends to like where they. And honestly, it's like I found you on Facebook, but I'm like an Instagram person. I love. Maybe it makes me vapid, but I love looking at people's pictures and like their kids and.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes Facebook now. I think the climate of Facebook is so intense. And I'm not an idiot. I know what's going on in the world because I'm living here. It's just become so in my face with the politics and stuff that I kind of been stepping back a little bit and trying to like live more in the moment. So then I'll go on Instagram because when I want that release of that social media addiction, you know, Instagram is definitely my way to go. So I already follow you and you follow me. So that's great. And congratulations on a musical about Star Wars and your new baby. God bless her and your family. And I'm not religious.
Thank you.
That's like the universe. I'll let you know when I come to your show.
Yeah, please do.
I will, because I would love to meet you after if that's possible.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Justin. I'm glad we were able to put this together.
Thank you. Great chatting with you.
Yeah, you too. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye. That was so much fun. I love nerding out. Kevin's not on the mic. I feel the same way. I'm like, it was the Kettle One. What did I do? But anyway, we have a special Snap Crackle pop-up interview with the writer of Forbidden Broadway Sunday at noon. Danny will be back with me. Kevin will not. Kevin has a 10 out of 12 on Sunday. He's doing the big time here. And then, but we might be going live from the road with Danny tonight on our way to Next to Normal at Bristol Riverside Theater. So thank you all for tuning in and listening. I'll let you know when the podcast is up. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.